From years of anxiety to warrior and mentor, Bradley Robinson created the Anxiety Project to help you end your anxiety naturally. Let's mold the new you and let's end anxiety together.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 32 of the Anxiety Project podcast. I am your host, Brad Robinson, and I am very, very happy to be here with you today. And today's topic is really about progress and how we can progress to the point where we know that we're on the right track, but also, this leads to happiness, progress. Progress leads to happiness. Now, before I dive in, I just want you all to know that I do have one-on-one coaching on my website at unpluganxiety.com. If you need coaching for anxiety and going through any life challenges, things like that, sign up now. I got amazing rates on there. Go check it out, and I want to hear from you. Thank you so much. So, when I was going through my anxiety disorder, I was really just stagnant and confused, bewildered, overwhelmed, stressed out 24/7. I was feeling all the bodily sensations, the different aches and pains within my body. I was very dependent on my family for, reassurance, for just having my back. Basically, they were my foundation, right? And when going through anxiety recovery, it's really the process of becoming independent, gradually moving from dependency to independency, right? So, right now you're very dependent on your loved ones because they provide you with the reassurance, the love, the support, and so forth. But when you want to overcome anxiety, when you want to better your life, really, it's all about becoming more independent. And when you become independent, you're so comfortable in your own skin, right? You know what to do when a chaotic event or a tragedy happens. You know what to do. You're mentally more prepared because you know how to relax yourself when you're more independent. You know how to take care of yourself. You know how to monitor your thoughts. You know how to construct a routine that's best for you. You know how to judge people appropriately, whether they are a good influence in your life or whether they're not, right? So happiness is in the progress. And what I mean by that is when you start to go outside your comfort zone and challenge yourself, something interesting happens. Not only do you feel anxiety, all the sensations, the self-doubt, the internal negative chatter, you feel that. But the reason that's activated when you are faced with an unfamiliar event, the uncertainty, the reason why you feel so much anxiety is because the amygdala, the part of your brain that is the fight, flight, and free response, this ancient part of your brain is telling you that, this environment is dangerous. I don't know what's going to happen. It's unsafe. Could potentially hurt yourself or get yourself killed, stuff like that. So that's activated. And then you feel the bodily sensations because the amygdala sends all of those bodily sensations throughout your body, the racing heart, the sweaty palms, the nauseous feeling, the headaches, the lump in the throat sensation. And you're overwhelmed, you think like you're having a heart attack because your heart's beating out of your chest, or, you feel like you're going to faint because you have dizziness, or you might feel sick. That's the amygdala activated. It's preparing you to fight, flight, or freeze, right? And so just knowing that is really, really important when you're faced with uncertainty or a new environment. And when you overcome and when you get familiar with that new environment, you overcome a challenge, say you're very nervous or scared or fearful of having a heart attack, and you overcome it by staying in the environment, not running away, facing your fears and surviving, you're retraining the amygdala. You're connecting new neural pathways. And when you overcome certain challenges or you overcome a panic attack by proving to yourself that you're not going to run away or you're not going to call a loved one for reassurance, you find happiness in that. And when you come home at the end of the day, not only do you reward yourself, which you should, right, for doing something out of your comfort zone, but you will feel good about yourself. You'll feel really happy that, I did it. I faced my fears. And happiness comes from the progress. You're progressing to a goal, the goal of overcoming anxiety, the goal of being the best you can possibly be, right? And life is really all about growing. Your whole life, you should be growing, diving into new things that's unfamiliar, because happiness lies in the unfamiliar territory, right? There's a great quote. Let me try and remember right now. It's what you want to find is in the place where you least likely want to look. I think I butchered that a little bit, but let me just try it again. What you want to find is in the place that you least likely want to look. And I don't know if it comes from King Arthur, but in the story of King Arthur, there's a part where they're like, where do we find this holy grail? Where is this holy grail? Where do we start? We have no idea. But then the knights decide to look in the forest that is most darkest to them. But what does that really mean? Look in the forest that's most darkest to them. It's because what you want to find is in the place where you least want to look. And that's very interesting, And when I was going through anxiety recovery, I didn't want to go back to a familiar place where I had a panic attack, because the amygdala has already associated that place with fear, right? And when I was going back to a place where I had a panic attack, I was starting to panic because my amygdala knew that, oh my God, I'm going back into the danger. I'm going back into the fearful environment. What are you doing? Stop. So when I was going back, I was having all of this anxiety. But when I did it, when I went back, because I knew that if I didn't go back, I wouldn't retrain that part of my brain. I needed to activate my amygdala in order to change it and connect a new neural pathway, make a new strong neural pathway. And that can only be done when you go back into the environment you don't want to go. And you will find the answers. All right. You'll overcome something. You'll find that this environment is actually not scary. And the reason is because I actually survived and I proved my old self wrong and I made it, That's where happiness comes from. If you are not willing to go outside your comfort zone, you're not going to experience any self-improvement or growth, right? And that's absolutely important because you need it. It's necessary to overcome anxiety, or it's necessary to find happiness in life. You need to go outside your comfort zone. When I was going through my anxiety recovery, I was eliminating old habits from my life. I used to smoke a lot of marijuana. Now I stopped. I used to drink coffee. Now I stopped. So it's like little minimal things. I used to have a messy room, and now I clean it every day. I make my bed every morning. So I replaced old habits with new habits. And what happened then? I found that, I started to get my life together a little bit. Just making my bed in the morning, snowballed into cleaning up the bathroom. And then that snowballed into cleaning my car. And then I got my car's clean. And I started to feel really good. I feel really good. I'm like, I have a clean car. I worked in that car, cleaned it. It looks good. I'm very proud of it. So it's really, the happiness comes from the change in lifestyle. When you incorporate and add new habits into your life, productive habits, you'll start to organize your life better. And when you start to organize your life better, it's something interesting happens. You find happiness because you're progressing. You're not the same person you used to be. And when I went through my anxiety disorder, my life was chaotic. I didn't have any order. Both my feet were in chaos, okay? And now this is really, really important. Both my feet were in chaos. So imagine the yin and yang symbol, okay? The black and white symbol, the yin and yang, also known as peace, right? The white side is order, and the black side is chaos, okay? Now, this is very, very interesting because the middle line that separates both sides is the pathway. It's the path to enlightenment, or I should say, it's the path that you must take. And this is very interesting. So my feet were both planted in the chaos side, okay? And the middle line is representing the path, which means you must integrate both order and chaos into your life. And in between that middle ground is the pathway. So you must integrate order and you must work with chaos in order to make a balanced life. And having a balanced life will be the way to independency, to enlightenment, to responsibility, and having proper morals and values and all of this stuff. So both my feet were planted on the chaos side. Now, what I needed to do was, going through anxiety recovery, I needed to plant the other foot into order. So which it meant that I needed to add order into my life. I was too chaotic, right? My mind was going crazy. I couldn't control my thoughts. I couldn't control my negative emotions. I was reactive to everything, sensitized to everything. So when I started to add order, for instance, making my bed in the morning, I was adding order. And then I started to clean my room. And these little incremental things that I was doing snowballed a bit, like I said before. Then I cleaned my car and everything kind of, I was feeling better, right? But then it was important for me to do this every day, right? It was important for me to add order every day. And order meant for me having a morning routine and a night routine. And for my anxiety, this was crucial. The morning routine helped me prep my day, and the night routine helped me settle in for sleep, help relax me, activate the parasympathetic nervous system, and get me relaxed and healthy, right? And it was really all about, what can I do to take care of the chaos? Because I had too much chaos. I was too much over on the chaotic side, and I needed to add more order in my life. And anxiety recovery is all about taking responsibility. Taking responsibility was key. Okay? I took responsibility for my life. I said, "Know what, Brad? I don't want to feel this way anymore." I put my foot down. I'm like, I'm going to do whatever I can to change, and I'm going to learn. And after you take responsibility, then you can get knowledgeable. So listen to podcasts that talk about anxiety. What can you do to overcome these life challenges that you're currently facing? And it was really all about, for me, getting myself knowledgeable, diving into these anxiety podcasts. For me, I was unfamiliar with the subject. I didn't know what was going on with my body. So I had to start to learn. And just by that action of starting to learn, I kind of realized, hey, look, I'm progressing in some way. I'm actually diving into something I'm unfamiliar with, and I'm bettering my life just by listening to this podcast, just by reading this book. I'm bettering my life just by making my bed in the morning. I never used to do that, and now I do that. And what do you know? It's snowballed. And it's such an amazing thing, because happiness lies when you start to accomplish things and go outside your comfort zone. When I was going through anxiety recovery, I was never a reader. I never read books often, and I would have a hard time paying attention to a book. I could only sit for like 20 minutes and read. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to the bookstore, and I'm going to sit in this bookstore for 3 hours and read a book that interests me. And I did it. And that was my goal for the day. So once I completed that goal, I felt good about myself. I'm like, I did it. I proved to myself that I could sit here in this bookstore and read for 3 hours. And then what happened after that? I went back the next day. I sat in the bookstore for another 3 hours, because I'm like, you know what? I want to finish this book in a week. I'm going to prove to myself that I can finish this book in a week. So I set daily goals for myself. And then what do you know? I ended up finishing a book in a week at that bookstore. I didn't even buy the book. All right. I didn't even sit at home reading the book. I went out, sat there, and I wanted to prove to myself that, you know what? I want to read this book and prove to myself that I can sit here for a long period of time, right? Even though at the time I was feeling sensations, I was having lots of anxiety, self-doubt, negative self-talk. All of that was going on when I was doing these goals. But it's important that you don't let it get in the way, okay? You have to push through the resistance. Your body's going to resist so much. Your body doesn't want to change. Your subconscious loves habits to the point where it will refuse to change. It will try and convince you to not pursue the goals that you want. But it's important that you do it. It's important that you prove your subconscious wrong, and you prove your old self wrong by strengthening new neural pathways within your brain. Get out of your comfort zone, and you will find happiness. Get out of your comfort zone, and you will find happiness. Happiness is all in the progress, okay? It's in the progress. Thank you so much for tuning into this podcast. I just want to let you know that If you haven't already sent me questions on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram, please send me questions. I want to hear from everyone who has a question about anxiety, and I'm just grateful for the feedback already on YouTube. I really appreciate it. If you haven't already, please rate and review this podcast on iTunes. Thank you so much. Remember, do not let anxiety define who you are. Have a great day. Bye-bye, everybody. For more podcast episodes, for more video content, and one-on-one coaching with me via Skype, visit www.unpluganxiety.com for everything you need to know about ending anxiety naturally. I love you all. Have a great day. Bye-bye.